colonization implodes even further. How that might be possible, you may wonder, and have they suspended colonization claims again? And the answer to that is no, they haven't suspended colonization claims, although probably, and we will argue they should have, for reasons that we're going to get to in a moment. So as of this week, the maintenance cycle that typically runs on Thursday mornings that does a bunch of things in the galaxy, and as of colonization also is involved in converting stations from their in construction state to the permanently active state, didn't run. It turns out it would have taken too long, and downtime would have extended to a duration that was considered, I believe, unacceptable, and as a result, they decided to not run it at all, or at least run it on a very, very partial basis. So for instance, in the system that we've been building, we are 0 for 3 in terms of tier 3 stations that were supposed to come online this week, 1 planetary port and 2 orbit stations, and none of them activated. Not only that, but the population statistics of the system do not tick up. Population is not moving and hasn't moved. The BGS tick hasn't updated in 3 days. BGS is effectively in hibernation. The cleanup process that is meant to clean up claims that should become available again after they have been abandoned or otherwise not accessible is not running. Colonization has imploded even further. Not only that, but the 3 megabugs that we've described in our video, specifically the fact that stations, as you build them, end up all over the place, and usually not where you've placed them, which, especially in a system that has no undo button, is a freaking big deal. Super bug number 1. Mega bug number 2. The fact that industries in any system, anywhere, do not work. The stations are not picking up the correct characteristics of the system that they're supposed to be in. Furthermore, support has clarified in an answer that stations will only pick up the characteristic of the body, the direct body that they orbit. But right now, they don't. So here's a Mankind planetary port, which is in a system with 2 military and 2 scientific settlements, which should, as a result, be a military and scientific port, is, guess what? Just a colony, and as such, it only sells biowaste. The system in orbit, the Xeno Strike Force headquarters, same thing. Should be considered scientific and military, considering what's in orbit and for the fact that there's a relay which is high-tech next to it, but no, colony only. It only sells biowaste. Not only that, but the station we placed in the orbit of a star, and generally stations that you place in the orbit of gas giants, so things where you cannot have anything built on the ground of the main or so-called local body, are now left in a bit of a limbo because these stations may never be able to acquire any kind of industry other than selling biowaste if the current rules stand of stations not picking up the overall system industry, but instead solely being influenced by the, quote, local body, as in the body they directly orbit, which is a frigging, again, massive problem. Not only that, but the non-human signal sources that are typically present in the Pleiades have been decimated by our construction effort, as in we were building up the zoo in the expectation that building more infrastructure would create additional spawn points for non-human signal sources, and guess what? The opposite has happened. The non-human signal sources of the Pleiades Zoo have near basically gone extinct. There's now just a handful of non-human signal sources. The buildings we have placed have apparently removed spawn points instead of adding spawn points. And for Thargoid hunters, and especially those that were trying to build a great Thargoid hunting capital in the Pleiades, what we were doing, this is also a freaking massive problem. To the point where we're honestly debating among us friends whether we should ask support to just delete all the progress we made in what is currently the largest and highest built system in the galaxy that we understand, because we want our AHSSs back. I don't know if we'll put that request in. We're thinking about it. We'll love to know in your comments below, like what you think we should do. Whether you want to maintain this system as a Thargoid conservatory with no systems built, or whether you want to have it like we have it as a built-up system, which, however, basically means that you can't really hunt Thargoids here anymore because they're gone. Which, you could claim, VXI has kicked the Thargoids out of the Pleiades. Fantastic. Well, great. Unless you actually like hunting Thargoids, then it's less fantastic. So with all of this, Frontier has not put the pause and the brakes on new claims again. We will argue that is a mistake. In the current state, the only thing you're doing is you're making the galaxy more and more messed up. We will also reiterate that making this an open beta, something that affects the galaxy so profoundly, was another large mistake. But that damage is done. Please prevent additional damage being done and stop the claims from continuing until you fixed the core mechanisms of a game to work at least somehow as they're supposedly intended to be. And I haven't even gotten into the fact that there's points increase that are not documented and a million other issues regarding settlements being constructed of a wrong type. Like, guys, this is not ready for prime time. It should not be on live service to begin with. If you choose to leave claims open and the galaxy becomes a mess as a result, which it will, considering how things work right now, then it's entirely on you at this point. You've been informed. You've been warned. If you want the galaxy to be a mess with thousands and thousands of support tickets of people with bricked systems and stuck systems and systems in the weirdest states with industries that don't work, be my guest. It's your game. Do what you want. But you've been warned. That's it. That's the update for today. Commander Mechan, over and out.